Ken, thank you very much. Our next speaker followed in his father's footsteps. I knew his father very well. He was a great, great man. And the apple didn't fall far from that tree, because his son has turned out to be just like his father, outspoken and taking no quarter, giving no quarter. Neil Knox's son, the Firearms Coalition, head of it, Jeff Knox. Please welcome him.
Oh, good afternoon, gun lobby. You know, there's a lot of talk about the gun lobby. There's the NRA and the GOA, Second Amendment Foundation and Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. There's VCDL, there's the Firearms Coalition, which I represent. We're not the gun lobby. We're the hired guns of the gun lobby. We work for you. We tell you what's going on. We're paid to keep an eye on these guys, to try and tell these guys what you think, and to let you know what these guys are doing. But then we call back on you, and you are the gun lobby. When you see the media talking about the gun lobby did this and the gun lobby did that, if you didn't do it, the gun lobby didn't do it. You are the gun lobby. Back in 1978, my father went to NRA. He became the executive director of ILA, the lobbying arm of NRA. And he had this idea. He brought this concept of you are the gun lobby. And he said, let's do an ad campaign. Let's just get this guy and this lady over here. And let's take a picture of them holding their favorite gun that says, I am the gun lobby. Well, the NRA really liked it, and they changed it around a little bit, and they got celebrities to hold their favorite gun and say, I'm the NRA. Well, folks, I'm here to tell you, you are the gun lobby, and thank you for being here, and thank you for what you do. I want to say thank you to Brother Ken Blanchard. I'm really proud to be standing on this podium where you were standing a moment ago. And something that Ken said really kind of rang with me, because at my mother's church in Manassas, they have a rule. No women in the church alone without a male in the church building, because it's unsafe. No woman is supposed to leave the church building after a meeting alone out to her car without a man to escort her, because it's unsafe. There's an exception to that rule. It's no woman unless there's a man present or Mrs. Knox. Because everybody at the church knows that Mrs. Knox, she's got a gun. Nobody's worried about the safety around Mrs. Knox, because Mrs. Knox, she's got a gun. And a lot of the church women came to my mother and they said, Jay, will you teach us a little bit about guns? Will you help us be a little bit more comfortable about it? I've asked my husband, and gosh, it's so hard to get anything out of him that's worthwhile. Would you teach us? And she got so many of these things that she started telling them, I'm going to do it. Who's interested? Who's interested in doing a firearm safety class? I'll get my son Jeff to come in and do this firearm safety class. We had so many people interested that we're going to teach the class on 2 separate Wednesday nights at the church building, and then have a range day out at my house the following 2 weekends. So you can make a difference, as Ken was saying, in your own church or your own club or your own group, whatever it is that you're doing. And Mom's success at her church has got me talking to the folks at my church up the road. But coming back to where we are and why we're here. You're the gun lobby. You're here to lobby your representatives. You want to tell them what you're thinking about. You want to tell them what matters. And you want to tell them that the hoplophobes should not be guiding government policy. Hoplophobe is a name that Colonel Jeff Cooper came up with a few years ago. It's very simple. It means an irrational fear of weapons. And that's exactly what gun control laws are. They are either people control with the intent of keeping you from being able to defend yourself from the government, or they're simply irrational fear. Those are the only two options. The fact of the matter is, we have these law enforcement officers standing around us right now. When I walk into a restaurant, and because of Virginia law, I notice that they've got a Budweiser sign on the wall, and I walk into the restaurant and I have to do this so that I can walk in the restaurant and they can see that I'm carrying a gun. And some people get uncomfortable with that, except that, hey, number one, I'm a white guy. Number two, I'm kind of middle-aged, and I've got a short, clean-cut haircut. I could easily be a cop. They're going to let that go. But if I'm Ken, or if I'm my brother, or my buddy who was here earlier, Bernie Adams. Bernie's got a beard down like this and hair in a ponytail, and he rides a Harley Davidson. If they walk into that same restaurant, they're going to get some eyes. They're going to get some looks. People are potentially going to call the police and say, what about this guy? There's a guy with a gun. There's a black man with a gun in our Applebee's restaurant. Oh no! It's hoplophobia. And let me tell you, hoplophobia kills. The truth is that those of you in this audience with concealed carry permits, licensed concealed carry permit holders have a lower crime rate than do sworn peace officers. Now that's not to say that peace officers are criminals. The fact of the matter is that sworn peace officers have a minuscule crime rate. But our crime rate is slightly lower. Our rate of shooting innocent bystanders is dramatically lower. Well, it's not our job to go looking for a fight. It's their job to insinuate themselves into those things. And they don't do it. They don't shoot the wrong person very often. But they do it a little more often than we do, because they have a different job. But when you're sitting in a restaurant and you see somebody walk in and they're displaying their firearm on their belt, it's not because we want to, is it? I would just as soon keep it concealed. It's because the law is making us do that to make them uncomfortable with us, to make us less comfortable with going in there, to expand their hoplophobic concerns. We've got to say no to that. When you go into TGI Fridays or Denny's or a nice restaurant down the road and you have to display your firearm, don't do like I have a tendency to do. Go in with my wife, I tuck it behind, I kind of keep my arm in front of it, I sit up against the wall where people aren't really going to notice it, and most of the times I get in and out without anybody even seeing that I'm carrying a gun. I realized that that was cowardly. The truth is, I'm a good guy. Always have been a good guy. And when I go into your restaurant carrying a gun, your restaurant is now a safer place. When I walk out of the restaurant carrying a gun, my wife and I are in better hands. But here's one for you. Have you ever stopped to go in and take a leak at a gas station? You've got the gun in the console. Your wife or your husband is sitting in the car and doesn't have a concealed carry permit. The moment you get out of that car, you've just made a criminal out of them. Unless you either put the gun on, or unload it and put it somewhere else, or take it out and put it up on the dashboard where it can be seen. We've got all of these little nuances of law, little ways to try and make you and me criminals. And it's simply wrong. We've got to be paying attention to it. This afternoon they're going to be talking about removing this ban on concealed carry in restaurants that serve alcohol. We need to let them know loud and clear that that ban needs to be repealed.